Alright, we're rolling. So, hi you guys and welcome to my channel. I'm back with a new reaction video. Good morning. I hope that all of you are good today. So, we're gonna check out a video called Tim Tebow lead the scariest team in the NCAA history. Nobody told us this. I don't know too much about Tim Tebow. We need to check him out more. But I saw that guy Aaron Hernandez in the down leg. That whole thing was just insane. I remember watching the documentary on Netflix years ago. But yeah, I didn't know they played together and everything. So yeah, I'm not gonna ramble. Let's check out this video together. Right, you guys. Let's get into the video. Press play. Why is it not working? Oh.
I'm sorry. Extremely sorry.
Aaron Hernandez is arrested yesterday, charged with murder, released by the New England Patriots.
So I would not be surprised if we hear in the near future that state and government officials get involved.
A former football captain for the University of Florida is now facing murder charges in a 3-year-old cold case.
Man found dead inside the home of Janoris Jenkins.
I got goosebumps already.
You see, in the year of 2008, the New York Giants just beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, and the University of Florida was the dominant team in football. Their head coach was Urban Meyer, and he stacked a team full of talent and full of controversy. Many of those players put in years in the NFL, and the quarterback of the 2008 National Championship football team, Tim Tebow, has now reunited with Urban Meyer 13 years later to try to bring some excitement to Jacksonville's football team. Although
I think I said Tebow. I'm sorry. Tim Tebow.
So this time he won't be doing it as a quarterback, he'd be doing it as a tight end. So far the training camp footage of him looks pretty damn good. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here, and today we're going to be looking at very fascinating but extremely sad storylines that surrounded the 2008 Florida Gators, who were foot-ended by football's greatest missionary and a convicted murderer with a plethora of misfits in between. Before we get to the content, do me a favor, there's a good chance that this video is probably going to get demonetized, and that doesn't
Really? Jeez.
to sack the like button for the YouTube algorithm at a near daily basis. Now that we got all that out of the way, breaks! What's going on, everybody? Although we're talking about the 2008 Florida Gators, it's important to note that the Florida Gators won the NCAA National Championship in both 2006 and 2008, then lost the BCS Championship game in 2009, and the team sunk into oblivion. In 2007, they weren't great as their record was 9-4, but their quarterback, who we all have heard of, Tim Tebow, won the Heisman Trophy. And thus, that stretch of football played by the boys from Gainesville and coached by Urban Meyer was pretty impressive, but I digress. In 6 seasons under Urban Meyer, the University of Florida won 65 games, 2 SEC championships, and that pair of national championship trophies. In 2008, the mighty Gators outscored their foes 611 points to 181, averaging 31 more points per game than their opponents. They scored over 50 points 5 times, and Urban Meyer was an A-plus student in the film room, and his strategic intelligence gave his staff the ability to come out on top against virtually anyone. UF had a microscope on their opponent's weaknesses and exploited it week after week. That is until Ole Miss came to the Swamp in week 4 and the Gators were shocked. They lost to that unranked team by 1 point, and Tebow, known for gaining any needed yardage via his feet, was stopped on a crucial 4th and 1. Following that game, cried crocodile tears over the loss, Tim Tebow stirred the hearts of fans with a 30-second speech from deep within his overflowing heart. Coined the promise, Tim Tebow stood at the podium and stated that the Florida Gators would prevail. The quarterback stayed true to his words and his team followed, and there wasn't another loss for the UF football team that season, all the way to the victory over the Oklahoma Sooners in the BCS championship. Tebow's words were so monumental that they were literally etched into a plaque outside the Gators locker room. Not only was Tebow an influential public speaker, but he was the it quarterback of college football and was surrounded by a colorful cast of great football players. Catching his bombs in the regular was Percy Hart, Harvin, who would eventually have a remarkable NFL career as well.
It's
In addition to
college
Harvin,
football,
Urban
that's
Meyer's
what
team
that
had
is.
Jeff Demps and Chris Rainey, who were both really fast. We're talking elite speed here. Then there was the big, multi-talented receiver in Riley Cooper, and the best tight end in the country in Aaron Hernandez. Then backing up Tim Tebow before he was injured and before he got into trouble was Cam Newton. If that dominant offense that featured a plethora of NFL talent wasn't good enough for you, take a look at their rock-solid defense.
I'm a lefty, so I don't want to say when things go left, it goes bad. Because, you know, left is good. But I'm saying when everything went wrong, basically.
Defense.
Before.
The 2008 Florida Gators defense allowed only 12.9 points per game. Brandon Spikes was a ball-attacking monster in the huddle. No one had a chance getting out of the backfield with him, Carlos Dunlap, and Jermaine Cunningham serving as a literal brick wall. When the opponents of the Gators realized that they couldn't run the ball, they would attempt to throw, and the University of Florida defenders chomped away with 26 total interceptions. Most quarterbacks from other SEC teams couldn't even reach their receivers, as Dunlap and Cunningham brought down opposing quarterbacks 15.5 times.
What is
The
this?
safeties Ahmad Black and
I see that it says something, but what does it mean? Like, is it just like for fun? Like they just put it on?
Major Wright had 11 takeaways for 212 yards and a trio of pick sixes. A quarter of that 2008 Gators roster either played a game in the NFL or was under contract with a team in the league. There were 19 players selected in the NFL draft, then 11 were signed as free agents, and unfortunately, sometimes the best guys on the field become the most troubled off the field. You see, many of the members of the 2008 Florida Gators had some serious run-ins with the law. When do we start with a team that has been deemed quote-unquote cursed? Listen to this. 41 of 121 players on the Florida Gators roster had been arrested from 2005 to 2010. That includes 16 players on the 2008 roster, 9 who were starters, including special teams players who are typically squeaky clean like the kicker and the punter. One of those players who you might have forgotten about was Cam Newton, who left the University of Florida 3 days before the 2008 National Championship game. Leaving the University of Florida wasn't on Newton's own terms. In November of 2008, Newton was charged with theft as he stole a laptop from a fellow University of Florida student. The police stated that Newton tossed the stolen property from a window when they showed up to confront him. For Cam Newton, that was his only blip, and he has mostly escaped the curse of the Gators, as you can find him in a NFL jersey, a Patriots one on Sundays. That is unless a former University of Alabama rookie takes his spot this upcoming fall. Speaking of Patriots, the starting tight end of the 2008 National Championship team, Aaron Hernandez. Hernandez won the John Mackey Award for the best collegiate tight end in the nation in 2009. Even before he was booked for an execution-style murder, Hernandez was in and out of a lot of trouble. While in Gainesville, he was questioned by police after a 2007 shooting, and the authorities also recommended him for a felony battery charge against him after a fight at a local restaurant called The Swamp, where he broke an employee's eardrum via a punch. However, that charge from the bar incident was soon dropped, but we all know how the Aaron Hernandez story ended, as it has been well documented by many. More arrests of the 2008 Florida Gators include Jamar Hornsby. In 2008, Hornsby allegedly made up 70 fraudulent charges on the credit card of a deceased woman. Hornsby was also charged with criminal mischief and property damage. Another safety, Dorian Monroe, was cited with theft when he tried to remove a parking boot from his car. A third safety, Tony Joyner, was charged with breaking into an impound lot to retrieve a towed car, a vehicle that belonged to his girlfriend. Lineman Ronnie Wilson was charged in April of 2007 with assaulting a man by punching him, spitting on him, and then opening fire via an AK-47 outside of a nightclub. A defensive back, Jermaine Cunningham, was arrested after an argument with an employee at a fast food restaurant when he threw a stack of cups in their direction. Then there is Carlos Dunlap, defensive end, who was cited for driving under the influence just hours before the SEC Conference Championship game. Cornerback Janoris Jenkins was slapped with resisting arrest during his time as a UF football player, removing him from the team after Jenkins was arrested for drugs. Chris Rainey, running back, was also questioned by police when he sent a text message to an ex-girlfriend that read in part the words, "Time to die." Marquise Pouncey, the Steelers' first pick in the 2010 NFL Draft, and twin to also first-rounder Mike Pouncey, who both had incredible NFL careers. However, both brothers were scrutinized in an off-season for wearing free Hernandez t-shirts. In 2014, while in Miami, Mike was named in the Wells report that he, along with teammates, had bullied and harassed fellow lineman Jonathan Martin. Then there is the big wide receiver in Riley Cooper. While a Gator, in February of 2009, he was slapped with a misdemeanor of resisting an officer and failure to comply. Riley was signed to the Philadelphia Eagles, and his 835 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns each ranked second for the NFC East Division champions in 2013. At a Kenny Chesney concert, a very intoxicated Riley Cooper, who was denied backstage access, was recorded being very unruly and using racial slurs towards a black security guard. When he returned to training camp weeks later, he got into a scuffle with teammate Kerry Williams. The Eagles released him after that 2015 season. He had a brief stint with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and then retired in 2017. Defensive beast Brandon Spikes disappeared from the team for nearly 2 weeks after the 2008 season. Then during the 2009 season, he received a suspension for attempting to gouge out an opposing player's eye. Spikes was drafted by the Patriots in the 2010 NFL draft.
English is not my first language, but he's trying to grab the eye out?
But a leaked tape and a failed drug test later, and he was suspended for 4 games. After signing with the Buffalo Bills for a stint and then returning to the Patriots in 2015, he was released due to a police investigation in which a car belonging to him was possibly involved in a hit and run. Spikes was charged with leaving the scene of an incident with injury, driving negligently, and failing to stay within the marked lanes. Gators standout wide receiver Percy Harvin had mood swings, and according to a 2012 Sporting News story, took wide receiver coach Billy Gonzalez by the neck and threw him to the ground, and Harvin had
Oh my god, he did it to the coach.
To be pulled off by 2 assistant coaches. Harvin also tested positive for marijuana at the NFL Combine, but it didn't stop the Minnesota Vikings from selecting him with the 22nd overall pick and the 4th receiver overall in the 2009 NFL Draft. Harvin was named the 2009 Rookie of the Year and put up a 7-year career with 4,026 receiving yards, 22 touchdowns, along with several special teams touchdowns. His pro career wasn't without controversy, as when he was with Seattle, he allegedly had locker room altercations with his teammates. It was also reported that there were NFL games where he sat himself on the bench, refusing to go back on the field. Now, out of all of these players, Tim Tebow was the golden child of the Florida Gators and was pristine on and off of the field with a Bible in his right hand.
Yeah, because he's like Tim Tebow, like, he's like the most untroubled, like, he has no trouble whatsoever. That's like what I know about him. Like, no trouble at all.
Left hand that couldn't throw the football a mile. Tim Tebow was always trying to keep Aaron Hernandez out of trouble as well. After Hernandez's dispute with a bartender, Tim was also at that bar and was questioned by police. Tebow stated that he went over to try and help resolve the conflict. After being a college football hero, Tim Tebow had a pretty decent run with the Denver Broncos, winning 1 playoff game against the Steelers as Denver's quarterback when the AFC West had far less overall power than it does now. A poor showing with the Jets, where he was unable to beat out Mark Sanchez, forced Tebow to explore professional baseball, where he spent many years riding a bus across the United States as he compiled 940 at-bats as a 2-2-3 hitter with 18 home runs. Tired of baseball? We can imagine when Urban Meyer accepted the Jaguars head coaching position that Tebow, who lives next door to Meyer, met him on his front porch with a quart of sweet tea and asked if he could give the NFL one more shot, this time as a tight end. And for Urban Meyer, you would think that he would have to be held somewhat accountable for all the trouble that his Florida Gators were in. Guess what? It didn't happen. Meyer didn't have any trouble with the law himself, but also escaped any repercussions of covering up any of his athletes' wrongdoings. The Sporting News reported in 2012 that Meyer publicly stated players were hurt when they were actually sitting out a game because of the university drug testing protocol. In 2012, Meyer was quoted by saying, "I have been criticized that I have been too lenient on players. That doesn't concern me. We're going to go out of our way to mentor, educate, and discipline guys the way we see fit to make sure they're headed in the right direction." Are we
That's the thing, like, a lot of these players are coming from very humble beginnings, so they've already done things before, because I thought all this happened, like, before they became, you know, public in a way, but some happened, like, during and stuff, but, like, people are not just gonna change because of a situation. You might think that they would, but it's like where they from as well, like upbringing and things that they've gone through. And like with Tim Tebow, it seemed like he had a very good upbringing, and that showed, like, it turned out very well for him. You know, some people didn't have that guidance and stuff ever, so it makes sense when things
I
went
never said that.
left,
In
I guess.
2009, Meyer announced that he was taking a leave of absence after losing to the University of Alabama in the 2009 SEC championship game.
Not an
Meyer
excuse.
said that he
It's
was
like, it's just
experiencing chest pains
how it
and
was, how it
dehydration,
is.
and that was his reason for stepping away from his head coaching duties. However, his last season at Ohio State would include a scandal earlier regarding his response to domestic abuse allegations against one of his longtime assistants. The kicker with Meyer is that just about
Beating up the
everyone
assistant?
knew that he had to know that there was some sort of criminal activity that seemed to follow his University of Florida players. In the
I don't
Rolling
know
Stones
the
report on the Hernandez case, there was rumors that Urban Meyer may have helped cover up the tight end's bad behavior while he was in Gainesville. Let's see if Meyer can have as much success on the field at the pro level in Jacksonville as he did in Gainesville and Columbus.
It's called Gangsville? Said. But now, like I don't really like to read headlines and like taint someone's name. Like, I don't know this man and like the other situations. And I'm definitely not trying to give excuses and stuff, but it is reasons for everything at the end of the day. And even people who coming from super humble beginnings and still don't lash out and do, you know, things like that. So it's definitely not an excuse, but like I said, it's reasons for things. But yeah, this was crazy. Just people that had the talent and still like their past and like their previous life, like it like took that away from them in a way, or ruined it. I feel like I was gonna say something and I forgot. But yeah, it was crazy. Was all of these people, by the way, in the same college team? That's crazy if that's the case here. But yeah, I respect Tim Tebow though for trying to use his good influence in them. But at the end of the day, like, we have responsibilities over our own selves and our actions and stuff like that. Even if we had things against us from the even beginning and stuff like that, we need to control ourselves, our emotions, our actions and stuff like that. It may sound tough and rough, but it's true. Life is not fair and life is not easy. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up here and stop rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed. It feels weird to say hope you guys enjoyed with all this craziness. But like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video. I appreciate you guys watching. Bye.